G.I. Joe is G.I. Joe.
That's right, just like that. Episode 2 of the Tribunal. Myself, Alexander Storm. You got Richard from KS Collectibles. How you doing, Richard?
Not too bad. How's it going today?
Doing all right. And before we start episode 2, I've got to let you know, sir, that this court is now commencing. Let's get to order.
Where do you get that gavel?
I know. Actually, we probably end up doing that, get a tribunal gavel and everything. Hey, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the first episode of the Tribunal. Always love that. And, whenever people were enjoying the show and everything. But the one thing that we always tell somebody is whether you're enjoying it or not, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think about. And while you're there, make sure that you like, subscribe. We definitely would appreciate it. It keeps us doing what we're doing. Hey, so you know where we're gonna jump in today, Richard, right?
Yeah, the Mass Effect. Or Mass
Absolutely.
Device.
The mass device. Exactly. We got some things planned for this as well. We're gonna have a segment coming up down the line with Dr. Brentley on the SKN Shadow News Network. And he's gonna be like, do you know Joe? And he is actually, for the first time, a non-Joe fan. He's going to actually watch the Mass Device miniseries, and then he's going to give his actual review of it, if that's something that he will continue to do and continue to get in, or if it just, you're not a Joe fan, you never will be a Joe fan.
Yeah, I was actually floored when I found out he's never seen it.
Yeah, oh no, no, believe me, I have tried to drag him to Joe events and everything like that. He will not have any of it. But you know what? He will be showing up to the SoCal Joe show. So that's progress. So we got to
Yeah,
watch the Mass Device and
that's like me with
actually
Star
go up to
Trek.
the show. What was that?
That's like me with Star Trek.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes if you can convert those fans, try to convert them, man. But let's get in to the Mass Device. We got some images to pull up right here. That's right, and everything. Now, first of all, this first aired on September 12th, 1983. Yes, that's right. 1983. And I was immediately, blown away with the entire miniseries. I loved it from the first moment I saw it. I just recently watched it again just because we were going over this. And of course, I've seen it like hundreds of times, but I wanted to watch it again. And it's still an actual really good introduction to Joe. Richard, what's your feelings about it?
It's a great introduction. I mean, I was 10 when it came out, so and I fell in love with it. I immediately fell. Of course, we had, as we discussed on the first episode, we had the toys and stuff like that, the 12-inch figures beforehand. But this cartoon just enthralled me, and something about the way, and it's really like right at the beginning, the way they introduce Scarlet when she comes in, kind of gung ho on the in the plane, and Duke's all upset. Like it's just it set the tone that she's not going to be the what we saw for women in cartoons back then.
Absolutely.
That she was a rebel, a badass, really. And I was enthralled by this just to begin with. I fell in love with it immediately within the first minute of watching it.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of like instilling the characters' personalities. I always love Duke, where he's like, "Didn't you know I'm a man of action?"
Yeah.
It had all these things. I think when you do good filmmaking, you get your audience involved right away. And I think that the introduction of Cobra just immediately showing up and
Yeah, right
him in
there. I mean, you're
crisis
talking
work.
within the first 2 minutes of the episode,
Yeah,
Cobra's
yeah.
already attacking.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if it was, something directed to like children, they did a good job because again, in filmmaking, sometimes it's that slow burn that gets the audience disinterested. And this was like it was right off the minute you're ready to go, and now you're like looking forward to like what's going on next. And one thing that I've noticed over the years is that again when you're trying to do these TV shows that they did in the '80s sometimes from like the initial first miniseries to another miniseries or down the line from the toys, there's certain alterations on some
Right.
of these characters. And I think the glaring one for me is always Cover Girl. Cover Girl is looking like this, and you see her in the GI Joe series, and after that, she never looks the same as
Right.
the first one.
Well,
Y-
same thing with Snake Eyes.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
if you really pay attention to Snake Eyes in the first episode, I mean,
Hmm.
it was the blue, which we've gotten on a few figures, but the
Yeah,
one thing figures haven't got right on it is if you watch Snake Eyes throughout most of it, he doesn't have gloves on.
yeah, yeah. He didn't have gloves on. Yep. Which is always,
And it looks
yeah,
weird.
interesting. It does. It does. I've mentioned this a couple of times too. I always like the difference between the Joe leadership. That there are leaders, but yet it's really there's members that work for the Pentagon, and then every
Yeah.
now and then there's Colonel Sharp, there's General Flagg, there's certain people that are shifting in and out, and it changed from era to era from miniseries to this. But I love how they, from the initial point of like he brings him in, take a look at this, this satellite, and then all of a sudden he's like, like I'm got you here to actually do a break in, and then you immediately go from like this kind of like heist kind of scenario where Stalker, Snake Eyes, and Scarlet are breaking into a military facility, which is really
Yeah.
cool because you see the Ram cycle, and it kind of just again it helped the toy line, but also it just established very good lore extremely quick.
Yeah. Also, like the coolest thing was, and just something that I think that they did specifically to bring the kids in,
Hmm.
is it had this mysterious aspect when they first introduced. First of all, Cobra's lair, that
Yeah.
underground castle looked amazing, and then the introduction of Destro in the cloak and all that, and they had the
Oh, yeah.
villagers like bringing up the equipment and they get scared by the snakes, and then
Well,
it's revealed it's all technology and stuff. It's just like it has this mysterious aspect that as a kid I was just like, what is going on here? Like
mhm.
it was
Well,
just.
well, well, the mass device now. I'm gonna hit you back because the mass device. Remember, it was on top of the mountain. The
Right.
second miniseries, that was the one that went underground for the Weather Dominator.
No, this is
So
when they first introduced Destro and they're bringing in the
yeah,
elements.
yeah, it's on top of a mountain because he was like, "Why
Is it
did
on
you
top?
take me?"
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Why did you take me to this godforsaken point
Oh yeah, you're
up in the
right. You're right.
mountains?
It is on top
But
of a
the
mountain.
second one, the Weather Dominator, yeah, that's when it
Yeah,
shifted
it's the way.
from the. But again, they kept changing. I don't know how this, corporate organization was able to get so many bases and so many locations and so many locales from Cobra Island to everything else that like wow, it looked like every miniseries or every couple episodes they moved to a new base.
And it's crazy how far GI Joe was ahead of itself, because it
Yeah.
was literally the birth of the evil corporation. Like we didn't
Yes.
really get evil corporations back then.
Hmm.
And for Cobra, I mean, first, I mean, in the very beginning during the mass device, it was a terrorist group, but
Yeah.
eventually it became that evil corporation,
Yeah.
and it's
Hmm.
just like it's so it was so ahead of its time in so many aspects.
Hmm.
And, as we said before, everything from the use of the word drone, the AI, robotics, cybernetics, all this stuff that's been used throughout
Exactly.
the series. But it was just like I don't know, as a kid, if people haven't seen it or haven't seen it in years, it's available out there. I know it's available on DVD. I think Hasbro actually has a YouTube channel that you
They
can watch
do.
them for free.
They do. Yep, you can.
So
And
I
also
mean,
on Tubi as well.
yeah,
They
yeah,
actually
Tubi has
have
it.
the all the well, I think I've never seen the Revenge of Cobra, but they do have the Pyramid of Darkness and Arise Serpento Arise on that. But somehow, some way down the Revenge of Cobra somehow doesn't make it to Tubi, but it does make it to the YouTube channel, which is a very good resource I believe on a 24-hour loop to just play those great episodes, man.
Yeah, yeah, and just to, like I said, to sit back and watch them again, and see how ahead of its time it was, including everything from the way they did, like where Baroness, I'm sure, I mean, considering how old it is, I'm sure we're not spoiling it or anything.
Mhm, yeah, yeah.
Baroness wearing, in disguise. That's something that we see later on in what's that? I cannot remember the name of that. What is that movie series with Tom Cruise?
Oh, Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with their masks and stuff like that. And Mission. Well,
Yeah.
we saw in G.I. Joe way before then.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that was. I think that might have been a counterpart from the 60s version, or maybe it might have been 70s of Mission Impossible. I think it was 60s
Mission
because
Impossible.
I do think they did the whole pulling off of the mask things. I've only seen like a certain amount of those, but I
Yeah,
do think that maybe that was also lifted from Mission Impossible, and I'm sure Mission Impossible probably lifted it from something else.
yeah.
But
I'm sure.
I always loved that about the Tom Cruise ones, where especially the first one where he rips off the mask and you're like, yeah, if that technology existed, and I hope it doesn't, that's that's a terrible piece of technology because wow, that we'd be able to do a bunch of stuff. But I think yeah, I always loved that aspect with that or Zartan or anytime they had to just rip it off and everything, they were able to master that scenario, you know.
Yeah,
So and then, we're looking at a couple of shots here, and the reason why we brought this up is that, G.I. Joe Classified's the new version of the modern day Joe line, and we were looking at the mass device and kind of dissecting this, and at one point when G.I. Joe Classified first started, they were going off of the Operation Blackout video game
right.
version, where all the characters had all of the new age kind of looks, and then they had all the devices and everything else. And then I think they slowly made a pivot because I think that, again, a lot of old fans didn't like the some of the newer designs. Some people did. It was back and forth. But I think it was kind of polarizing. And then they started making some shifts, but subtly we were like, was their plan to actually start this mass device wave that they are now? Did that really just pop in now, or have they been dropping slow, subtle hints in the classified line all along?
I think it was a natural progression. I think they were going with along with the video game, which unfortunately horribly failed.
Yeah.
That's what with the first line of the classifieds we got, and then they immediately were met with a lot of anger from fans who wanted, what they grew up with,
Yeah.
and that's when we started. That's when we got the first round of the repaints, not the classified or
Hmm.
not the retro carded ones, but
Yeah.
just like the first round of repaints, which were
Sure.
closer to the retros.
Hmm.
And then as they noticed the popularity of the carded ones when they started putting those out, they started to realize, at least in my opinion, they started to realize that the nostalgia is way more important than doing new stuff.
Yeah.
Like people want, yeah, sure, you want updated versions of what you grew up with, but you still want that to harken back. And
Yeah.
I think the mass device is just like I said, it's where GI Joe, where the cartoon kicked off. It's where a lot of people's fandom kicked off, and it's to me this feels like a fresh start
Yeah.
to classified, to where the past few years it's been kind of it's scattered. You get some figures that come out and uh they look modern and updated or even almost futuristic, and then you get some that look Vietnam era, and then you'll
Hmm.
get some that look, it's like a complete mishmash. And I think this may help to streamline and lead more towards the uh the cartoons and
Hmm.
maybe the comics.
Well, the one thing I thought was a pretty good move for them is that there is a section of fans that just want the nostalgia. I just want 6-inch figures that remind me of the 3 3/4 figures. And when they started coming out with the retro cardback line, I'm like, that's a smart deviation because you have naturally people that just want those characters. They want that old nostalgia feel. They want the old cardback feeling. And it
Yeah,
works if you're a vintage or you're a modern collector. And then they do have the slight alterations of some of the characters that they've done in the main line that a lot of fans, hit or miss.
yeah,
They some may love, some might not. But the good thing about it is they pretty much kind of figured out now that they'll be getting, like naturally, if it comes back, they'll be getting maybe a retro cardback character later on of that same device. Because I know people were saying that they love Major Blood, but they want to
Mhm.
see an actual retro cardback version of Major Blood.
Right. And that's one thing that I've always wanted it to be more modern. That's why I started customizing Joe's, is because I wanted them to be more modern. I didn't care about the throwback. Maybe the throwback
Mhm.
style a bit, but
Yeah.
not really the Vietnam era uniforms and stuff, because
Mhm.
it's 2025,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that's why I started to. And there are certain things that I like. I've always, and I've done it on many of the network's podcasts. I always joke about Mindbender, who's one of my favorite characters,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he looks like a professional wrestler. It's like, I've always joked, is like, he's a doctor of what, ab crunches, because literally that's all he does. Like he's got like a 20 pack. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's got ridiculous abs, and spandex pants, and a
Mhm.
cod piece, and a cape, like, and a
Yeah.
monocle.
Well, while his look is bad, but let's put it like this: as a person that goes to the doctor all the time, you do want your doctor to look like a physical specimen, because
Yes,
then,
yeah, no,
if he's preaching to
agreed.
preachers, you're
No,
like,
I
okay,
really, what I really want is, because we got the Mind Better, and now we're going to get
yeah,
the retro carded one.
retro,
I'd
yes,
like to see an updated version of him. Something more. And I've always said the same thing about Quick Kick. I mean, you have a guy who was running around in the snow,
yeah,
barefooted, with no shirt on,
yeah.
and now with that, I believe it's a Night Force
Night
version, and
Force,
the two
hmm,
pack that's coming out. He's
yeah,
got boots on. That Quick Kick looks sick,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
and that's
always,
an updated one.
I we'll talk about this on another episode, but you know me, I always have a problem with the sub teams. So,
Yeah,
I like the main line. Some of the sub teams are, they kind of went a little crazy on it, but I understand, again, repurposing different molds, having
right.
different characters out. But yeah, like, I really do believe that they've kind of, like, it's smart for them to, like, build the history of GI Joe. You've got 60 total years of it, and actually 61 now. We're talking right
Yeah.
now, and I think the hark back to the most popular era has always been a little bit smart for them to do. So we will click into back into the view. So we're gonna look at some of these things. We've got the cover girl, who's completely blonde and looks completely different than we've seen her in the later points. We've got the mass device, which we have seen the mass device. One, there's if you're looking for a mass device, there's plenty of great 3D customizers out there
Right.
that has
I'd like to see
does it
one with
all over the
lights,
place.
though.
Yeah, yeah. Now I think I saw one customizer somewhere, and I wish I remembered who it was, but they did do one that lit up and everything, and I was like, wow, they need to definitely do that. But I also believe if I'm not mistaken, the 25th anniversary edition had the
They
mass
did.
device that you could put together.
Yeah, they
Um,
did. I believe it was 4 sets, and you could put it
yeah.
together.
And that's something that, was, mentioned, and I heard this state on another YouTube show, which was, you gotta give right to right, where they were like, "Are they gonna get to the point where they make, like, maybe a HasLab or something of the mass device?" I would have liked to see that, because I know the HasLabs normally come with, like, lights and everything
Mhm.
else. I would actually like to see that actually built, or maybe a made to order. It doesn't necessarily have to be a HasLab, but I do
Can you
want to
imagine one
have
that,
a
considering
um,
how big it is in the
it'd be
cartoon,
huge.
like, to get
Yeah, yeah,
a massive one? That would
yeah,
be awesome.
and with lights, and then you can have the consoles light up, and maybe offer some, maybe a couple exclusive characters or something that goes with it, or just do the mass device and do it like they did Dragon Man for Marvel Legends, or the X-Men Sentinel that they did, the updated animated version of it. Make it
Mhm.
made to order. And so
Yeah.
that way, there's certain people that are not into the original lore of the '80s Real American Hero show, and so then they don't have to purchase that. But there's certain people that look. I would definitely like to see that. You look at we got the snake armor, the original snake armor, which was as a kid, you were like, all right, yeah, that's cool. I can put my characters in, lock them in, snap together. Very easy. A little bit assuming. The Vamp Jeep, we've seen the Vamp Jeep in the last couple of years, and of course,
Yeah.
obviously, with the Cobra Island, we saw the Ram, and now we also have again retro Stalker that looks exactly like he did from the first time we saw him. But when we're flipping through, and we're gonna flip through some of these, when the retro cardbacks started coming around, then you started looking like, okay, well, they've got the classic Scarlet. A lot of people want to see this version of Scarlet, and Duke, he's like, They did subtle changes, but he
Yeah,
looks kind of still familiar. His head sculpt is a little bit different, but this is generally close to the original one with some minus of some or minus some of the like the little communication device and all the other things.
right.
But this is similar to what we saw.
It's a good Duke. He's just the my only problem with the Dukes so
Mhm.
far that we've gotten is the head sculpt. He's very young looking.
Yeah, yeah, well,
But I mean, that's nitpicking. Honestly, it's just
yeah.
nitpicking.
Well,
Maybe he's just got really good genes.
yeah. Hey, hey, he's a man of action. So,
He is indeed.
when you flip in now, this was, and I do know this. Look, I like the updated stalker, but whenever people say like this is my stalker, this is a stalker that we remember. You
Yeah,
know,
the grizzled old man stalker. Now, I was a big fan of the one the 25th anniversary put out, which
uh-huh,
was a
uh-huh.
younger stalker that had the dreads pulled back in a ponytail.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he looked cool, but that wasn't the stalker I grew up with. The
and
stalker
also,
I grew up with was a grizzled old vet, you
mhm.
know,
Well, you also
and
got to think too in the military, they're not going to let them run around with those like braids and everything else like that.
I mean, Quick Kick ran around barefooted, and
Well,
he was running with
true.
an elite military team, and he was an actor. So,
Right, he was. But now we're starting to jump into from maybe casual accident to like now we know legitimately they're doing this.
yeah,
And this was the Target exclusive breaker that is currently sold out. I hope they reoffer this for some of the fans that didn't get it. Personally, I
me too.
did.
I didn't get a chance to get this one, and Breaker is one of my favorite characters, and I
Yes.
love it. I love it when they bring him with the head with the bubble gum, and
Yes, yes.
that's
Well,
Breaker. Like,
I
granted,
was
you only
able to.
got I think you only got that in the comics, right? He didn't really do that, or did he do it in the
No, he
cartoons?
did.
I don't
He
remember.
he did in the cartoon when it was the one where Flint was on vacation, Flint's vacation,
Okay,
and he's trying to change her at the I guess at the radio tower, and he's in I think it's Lady J was like, Breaker, I can hear you popping that gum. And he did. So they did do it in the show. So that was kind of funny. But it comes with an actual one of the elements for the mass
yeah,
device, which I think is really cool. His traditional backpack along with his helmet that plugged in. And of course, like you said, his weapon, this knife, but also just the additional bubblegum head, which just adds to the whole, you
yeah,
know, extra look. So that was kind of cool. But this is their attempt now to say they are actually making this a line. Now I hope that they don't relegate a lot of the mass device stuff to just Target because again, the issues that we've always had as Joe fans is that whenever something just goes to Target, it usually is a mad dash kind of hunt for it, or like something like the Tiger Paw, it initially sells out, and then I'm still seeing Tiger Paws on the shelf now.
oh yeah,
So it's a hit or miss. But so now we jump over to the element that we're like, yes, they are really 100% diving into the mass device. And this is the latest version of I'm sorry, Snake Eyes that was actually up for pre-order earlier this month.
right. And
The- what do
that,
you think
so I
about
saw at the what was it the that last toy show that they had, the
Toy
toy
Fair?
fair.
Hmm.
I actually got to see on, I think it was on somebody's Instagram. I can't remember
Yeah.
whose it was.
Hmm.
How massive that bear actually is.
Yes.
It is an impressive animal. Like
Hmm.
normally, like the deluxe, I'm not super sold on those deluxe,
Hmm.
but that bear is really pretty cool.
Yeah. 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 And again, every now and then, the Joes, this latest round, they have done animals right. I think
Yeah,
I've seen Timber several times, and they've done subtle improvements. It's the same mold, but again, they're going to get several uses out of the mold, but they have done it. Everything from like, if you think I just saw the Law and Order that they did, and that
yeah,
dog was completely different
yeah,
than like they just repurposed the timber. So I'm liking what I see when it comes with the animals, but you're right, I'm not a fan of the deluxe because it's a different price point, and up till this point, mostly every deluxe like package I've ever seen it has been massively discounted at a big
Right.
box store. So, how well is that working? Or do they need to just think about changing the price points on that because people are not going to the store picking up the $34 to $44 big versions because I can go in there and I can look and Road Pig is all over the place.
Yeah.
It's
All
like
I
so
all I know is if this figure fails,
mhm,
and ends up on a discount, I'm gonna buy a ton of them because I've
yeah.
sat there and analyzed that body of that Snake Eyes,
Hmm.
and that is a perfect body for the green shirts. Just get a
Yeah.
bunch of
Oh
those
yeah.
and paint it to the old green shirt and just get a bunch of different heads and you'll have your
Well,
original Joe line.
that's true. I also got to think at one point, since they are doing a deep dive, because I will start seeing some of those the green shirts and everything else because with the 60th anniversary, military figures, they actually,
Right.
it came with different head swap, and they're doing that a lot more, which I think it's extremely smart because
Yeah.
you can have different looking characters and not the same character. So that's where I think that's working out as. Um, but yeah, you look at all the things. He comes with another piece of the mass device. Also comes with chamber, a couple of guns, and the his pink radiated hands. Excuse me. But he's done the one thing that you actually wanted was
Yeah,
he actually
he's got
has
the
a set
flesh
of
tone head.
hands. Yeah, he's got a set of hands with no gloves on them. And then they
That's
got
something that you know what? I did not notice that because I only saw the pink radiated
yeah,
hands.
yeah.
I didn't notice that in the first time I saw this picture. That's awesome that they actually paid attention to that detail.
Yeah, they did, and they got the bear trap that he was in. I
Yeah.
don't think that's a working trap though, but hey, we'll see when it comes out. And they have the angry bear face. Now, one thing I've noticed and people pointed out is that they were like, "Well, this bear's obviously not that the same size bear from the episode because that bear was massive." And I'm like,
Right.
"Well, yeah, but you're also that's like you're getting a bear. It's like there's a difference. I building that
It's
bear. If
still
you
a
think the
pretty
price,
massive bear, though.
yeah. Well, here's the thing: that price is like right now is 64.99, I think.
Wow.
They would charge you more if the bear was bigger. So,
Sixty
and,
four ninety nine.
I've had a couple of people that laughed and said, "Look, I've know a bunch of customizers and some photographers, like, I just want the bear to get, like, a mini Coke bottle, and I could do a bunch of Christmas photos with him."
Yeah, you know what? I would get it at 45, but at
Yeah,
64, I don't know.
yeah.
I
We'll see.
might.
Look,
I mean, I'd have to see it in person, though. You never know. It may look amazing in person.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see when it comes out, but I know that right now on Hasbro Pulse and a couple other places, it's sold out. So far initially, again, now does the sold out mean it's technically sold out or just that first wave of stock? We'll see how that goes because again, a lot of those deluxe figures do end up at some of the discount stores. So we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll see. But from there, as we were talking about, and I think you would you appropriately call these two characters
ketchup and mustard.
ketchup and mustard. This is from the Mass Device. I believe during the second episode, they went and they had to get an element of water that they needed at the bottom of the ocean, and they had like the standard Joe divers. But this one is there's a Joe and a corporate diver, which is cool, you know. And you can change. They come with the different heads, a bunch of different weapons, a bunch of dive gear, and obviously there is the mass device element right there. This is like, again, I like when they dive in, and if you're gonna give me something that is gonna be deluxe, well, give me something that's completely, deluxe and
Yeah,
different. And this is like, this is basically if they gave us torpedo and a cobra eel together and
right.
yet they've done it in the mass device way. And I also like if you can see, you can look at and see that they actually have like a little bit of a mass device font that they've added to the actual packaging, which should help differentiate fans between if this is specifically for that mass device line. Um, you
I
know,
mean that's the what third element that we've seen.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
out of what I believe there's four, correct?
No, there's three elements.
There's only three.
There's yeah, there's three elements.
Okay,
There was
so well,
the
if we have
dust
the
from the
elements,
mind, the dust from the mind, the underwater, and then the last one was the volcano.
Okay,
Uh,
so if we have all the elements, they're gonna
mhm.
have to release the device.
I
They have
look,
to.
I think it'd be a big mistake if they didn't release the device. I think,
Because
and it's gotta light up.
those are also the containers that are actually on the device,
Yes,
not
yes.
the 'cause when they got them, when they first had it,
It was in different
Cobra first
cartridges.
got the elements, they were big
Yeah,
crates, and
yeah.
those are
Mhm,
so
mhm.
I'm thinking we're gonna get the device.
I'm not gonna argue with you, man. I really do believe that, look, why put them in the actual device cylinders if you're
Yeah,
not somehow gonna use all those to plug it in, you know? Now the only thing I can say from looking at the package, this does not look like the type that, because it doesn't look like there's like a translucent bottom or something. So they put it in
right.
something, it would light up. Now I don't know if they thought that out that far because maybe we're just deep diving because we got nothing better to do than deep dive, and we're like, okay, it's supposed to light up. But if they're planning for these items to light up with it, it doesn't seem like they add in. Now, of course, we got to wait till we get them because we
No,
may
I
be
mean
shocked.
it could have a hole in the
It
base
could
and
be,
go shine
but
up.
if when we get these and we see and if that's at the bottom, we know they're planning the mass device at
Yeah,
that point, because that would be highly intentional. So we'll see if they didn't even plan it, or maybe if they do the mass device, it comes with all the elements, and that one is the translucent version. You never
yeah,
know, but we might be just diving in a little too deep, thinking a little too far down the rabbit hole and like the GI Joe team isn't thinking that way any way, shape, or form. So we'll see. It's a wait and see. But flow it through. Now here's the thing that I thought was an interesting update to it. Because I know a lot of lines, especially with GI Joe, have like the mech armor, and there's Exo
yeah,
Squad, and there's a bunch of everything. Or I always look on hark back on Aliens with Ripley. I think that's when most people start thinking about like an exoskeleton suit.
yeah.
That's probably the thing that pops out most for most people. When initially we were talking about this offline, and I think a little bit of the last episode, I didn't think that this was initially when I saw it first. I didn't think it was this big. The photos kind of were deceiving, and I thought like, "Oh, man, that's kind of like a waste that you can't put a character inside." Then they got this little surprise that you can put a character. So then I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Okay, this suit is massive."
Yeah, you could see. I mean, you could see in that picture right there. You could see the
Yeah.
with the bear right next to it,
Yeah.
along with the deluxe package. I mean, that thing is
Mhm.
massive.
Yeah, it's massive. At first, I thought it was gonna be something similar to the original design that they did, and, "Oh, well, this will just fit over a,
Yeah,
classified character." Then I saw this, and I was like, "Oh, no, he can sit in this one."
yeah, that is
Um
a really cool update.
Yeah, now see, that's what I was just gonna ask you that. Do you like this, or did you wanna have something, like, towards the original that you just pop the character in and just put the armor on top of 'em?
No,
What's your
I
preference?
think like this is honestly like as much as like I said, as much as I like the nostalgia point of it,
Mhm,
this is an update. Like if we got something like that, like the original one in
mhm.
today's age, like we'd look at it, and be like, this is kind of they wouldn't have updated from Vietnam era to now,
Yeah. Mhm,
60,
yeah,
and so it, it goes along with the times. I think it's a good update. It looks good enough to or close enough to the original, but
mhm.
is more modern. I think it looks awesome.
Now let me ask you this. Do you think down the line, because they have been kinda deep diving into the retro cardbacks, do you think there could be a retro version they've got planned? Now, I know that they like to get several modes out of this. I don't know if you can do that with the, putting the character side, but do you think they may have a plan to retro card back a snake armor that is similar to the original that you can pop the character in?
I think it's possible. I mean, if you just look at that torso, if you
Mhm,
change out the arms and the legs on that thing,
mhm, mhm,
it would go right along with that.
mhm. Well,
You
we'll
can
have to
use
see
that
because
same
that would
mold.
I think there's an original, fan base that just be like, "Hey, man, just, we'll just have a character pop in." I'm good with that, so
Yeah.
but, are you is this a purchase for you, Richard, or is this a
Oh
pass?
yeah, for sure.
Okay, alright, I was
Snake Armor is one of my favorite uh
yeah,
GI Joe. I guess we'd call it vehicles.
Yeah, yeah,
It's one of my favorites. So yeah, 100%.
yeah. I when this one comes up for pre-order, which I think hopefully on the March 18th live stream, hopefully they do that. If it is, yeah, this is a winner for me on this. Just because again, every now and then I don't mind when they update something, make it look a little bit to me more like updated than the original. Yet also I appreciate the original for what it is. I think when you do exact copies, it doesn't show a little bit of originality to it.
Right.
So I like this look. It's extremely cool. I'm wondering, like, I'm looking at all the different little accessories that you have. So that means that you're going to change out some of the hands. I think also there's some blast effects. So what price do you think this goes up for, man?
Oh, I think easily. I mean, due to the size of that,
Mhm.
I think that's right along, like probably right around the same price as that Snake Eyes and Bear. You're probably looking at 65, somewhere around there.
Really?
It's gonna be priced like it's gonna be
I'm
between
thinking
55 and 65, like a vehicle would be.
I would think now see they charged I think it was 79 for the Vamp, and then I think it was 99 for the Stinger. Um I'm thinking this is at like 75 mark or over. I think this is $79. I just think because it's a lot larger than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Interchangeable parts. Whenever you start adding blast effects and everything else like that, and then there's a point you can see like the flamethrower part of it. I think this is at the like 75, 79 range, somewhere around there. I don't think it's gonna be like 64. I just can't see them. If it is, it's a pleasant surprise. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be a little bit more pricier than that. But hey, we'll see. And then also they're probably gonna rechange this up and get a different use out of this. I'm sure. I'm sure we'll see some of the ones where they have like because remember in the cave they had the rock face behind it or
Yeah.
something. I'm
Yeah. The
sure,
rock they
you know,
turned around.
maybe we'll see this in Python Patrol or Tiger Force or something, or Night Force. They're going to use this character again. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
mean Python Patrol had them, and
yeah,
so yeah.
it'd be smart. This is not, it's more than one use on this. So then now we jump in, and again, when we're saying to the point of it's this, like, were they intentionally trying to jump into this? Well, this is one of those things that you kind of say, now this is a conservative effort to make this into the mass device character. Now I know this is a retro cardback, but this is the version that we see of CoverGirl from the first miniseries. And they didn't jump with a whole lot of things. Some of the accessories are still the same. They've done some changes to her outfit. It's not the modernized version that it was from the G.I. Joe initial mainline classified. They've done a pretty good
Well, I
job of
mean
just adding
the
different
the
elements to this.
the initial mainline classified release of CoverGirl was an utter failure. Just as bad as I mean it was up there with what was it, Falcon?
Yeah, I did not like
Just
Falcon
two of the
Face.
worst molded heads that you'd ever like. That's the thing is CoverGirl is supposed to be an ex model, and
Hmm.
she looked like
Mhm.
a burn
Well,
victim or something.
she
Like
looked like a current model technically when it was using Botox.
yeah, one that's had way too much plastic surgery.
Yes, yeah, it was. But give it or take it too, though. Since she is a model, and you never know, that could have been the actual mindset into them was like because again, you look at like 70 models is different from looking at the
Right.
current set of models. And so, like, the Botox and like, plastic surgery and all these things are kind of like in today's element. So that could have been a modernized thought process of this is how a model currently would look.
I think it was just a horrible sculpting job.
Yeah, I think they fucked up.
The body of that figure though was great. Like the
Yeah, yeah,
everything, the uniform, everything. She looked great, but just had a horrible head sculpt, which so did Falcon. To the
yeah,
point
yeah.
where they released him with a new one. So
Yeah, and actually that updated Falcon, the thing that I thought this is where you know that you made a mistake and you're trying to course correct it. Is that I think in one of the live streams, like, well, you can pop this head off too, and it will fit on the original Falcon.
yep.
Okay, well, here's the thing. If you knew it was that bad and everything, maybe you do something where you offer like different head sculpts and just drop that in. and sell just the head sculpts as an expansion pack. But to
Yeah.
make us go out and buy a brand new figure, and comes with a secondary figure with it. You're like, you could have just dropped it. You could have done Cover Girl Falcon and maybe I don't know. I can't remember who else was. I mean, I didn't like Road Pig sculpt, so
I
I
don't
could
like
see them dropping it.
I don't like Road Pig's sculpt. I don't like his body. I don't like anything about Road Pig.
Mm.
But I
Like,
mean, some people like it. I just don't
yeah,
think that wasn't Road Pig.
yeah, I
Road
didn't
Pig is
think they
supposed
did
to
a good
look.
job on that either. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Road
I,
Pig
I
is
will
supposed to
agree
look
with.
like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that one was, I think, felt again, I had the original Road Pig as a kid, and that was like, the
yeah,
one with the cement block
yep,
staff and everything. That was one of my favorite characters. I saw this one, I was like, the expression, sometimes, you can do something in the expressions really
right.
can make or break the figure. That one broke that figure, you know.
When
But
we're talking about the
yeah,
mass device miniseries, one character that I would really love, or one figure that I would really love to see
mhm.
released that we've never gotten in any line is that giant Conan looking dude. That would remember the guy when they had
Oh yeah, yeah, the
the
one
headband,
that was
yeah,
basically imprisoned,
yeah,
and
they were mind
oh yeah,
controlled.
man, you could if
The
you're
one
gonna
that
dive
he
into the
had,
line,
him and Duke were going, yeah. I would
yeah,
just love. He would be a massive guy. Like it would just be really cool to have that guy.
that would be, and of course you could do like Duke and him, and you could do a little arena diorama or something
Yeah,
like that. That would be smart. And again, like while we're looking at this, and the one question is, again, like we said, what's the deep dive? Like, how far do you think they push this, or is it just something to just you were going to get a couple of figures out of it, and they're going to just pivot to something else? Or do you think they really kind of deep dive? Give us the mass device. Give us. I can't remember that character's name, but if somebody does know, you know what this opportunity is. You can drop that into the comments and remind us who that character was. But how far do you think they go with this?
I'm hoping they deep dive into it, but the way Hasbro has been with
Mhm,
the GI Joe Classified line, they dip a toe in and then they go to something else, and
yeah,
that's been my problem with it. I'd like to see this be, like I said, a start of refreshing it and giving us like some kind of direction. But I
mhm,
just think like they're gonna dip a toe in this and they're gonna do some offshoot subs. They'll probably do like Toxo Vipers or something like that next. And then we'll get some original 13, and like they're just gonna bounce around because
yeah,
that's what it's been. I'd really love it for it to have direction, for them to do a deep dive into this and
mhm,
us get more of the standard, like what were the initial, what that's what most hardcore collectors want, most Joe fans want, were what we got in the beginning, the
yeah,
original 13.
mhm.
And I'd love for that to be them working on that direction, but I just don't know that it will be.
Okay, so if they did, so we've talked about the giant imprisoned, Conan like individual slave, and then we're running through. One thing that I thought I would have seen by now, was the Cobra version and the the Falcon glider.
Yeah,
So I would, and if he comes with that, I don't know if you just come with a standard Cobra officer or something, but I remember so many the original one was just hours of fun. And again, it was weird too, because you had a potential point of that actually sailing over a fence somewhere, going
oh
into
yeah, that thing.
Neverland.
I mean, it was made out of foam. That thing snapped
Yeah.
like there was no tomorrow.
Oh
That's
yeah.
why for a lot of Joe collectors, that original, those original gliders they're holy grails, because
Yeah.
they broke. So I mean, it's just thin foam. They
Well,
broke so
again,
easily.
you had to throw it in the air, had to kept the weight of the characters. Do you think that there's a point of them actually maybe as an exclusive or something from the Hasbro Pulse? Think we're going to get to see those?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we're getting the claw, so I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm. And again,
I
if they're
think,
diving into the deep line, where's
yeah,
Polar Bear at? They got to give
yeah.
us
I
the
mean,
Polar Bear at one point.
yeah. I think there's so many things to go. There's there's so much, and just like I said, if you start with the mass device, there's so much that hasn't even been touched by the classified line. That's just in
Mhm.
those 4 episodes.
Yeah,
4.
yeah, yeah. And also again, if you're gonna deep dive this, give us an actual mass device torpedo.
Yeah.
Make him look like, that version where he wasn't as sleeked up as we saw him out through the rest of the series. He's pretty much in just a black dive suit, they're
Yeah.
pulling up on a strange submarine. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that too, comparably to what we've seen him do later down the line. But yeah, there are so many. If they're really going to do the deep dive into it and really kind of position themselves as to get this, I think if they, to me, the big mistake will be if they just touch it, drop some characters, and then they walk away and they don't actually complete at least the line of these characters or take some one-offs. Again, I think you gotta get a mass device, and I think you need a mass device, that lights up. But now here's the thing as well. If there is any customizers out there that has or 3D printers that make their own mass device and it can light up, drop that in the comments, let us know because I,
Oh yeah,
I
for
want to know.
sure.
I want to know.
I've seen a few mass devices out there, but they're also, they're pretty small.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to see one to scale that lights up. That would just be. And you know what? I was thinking with that live feed that Hasbro has at GI Joe. I mean, maybe we'll get an announcement.
No, again, anything can happen, but I would definitely like to see that. But also, like you said, again, I know there's some great customizers out there that are
Yeah.
doing some great 3D printers that's out there doing some great work for the community. If
Oh
that
yeah,
is,
for
I would
sure.
definitely like to see it. So, and then we'll flow this in again. One of those things was they trying a couple of years back, they had this Amazon exclusive heavy artillery roadblock. He looks like now, first of all, I have the Operation Blackout, the original version. There were 2 because they did that and they did a repaint of them. And then, of course, they also had the Cobra Island version of them, and then you had
Right.
Tiger Force and
And
everything. So
The
Roadblock,
Cobra
like
Island
Snake
one,
Eyes, has
I don't.
done a bunch of reviews, man.
The Cobra Island one, I don't care what anybody says. Looked like heavy duty. Matter of fact, I
Shit.
made the Cobra Island one into my heavy duty.
Yeah. Well, Heavy
But that's
Duty's
before
coming
we got
too.
the current heavy duty. But
Yeah, exactly. But, and I look, I thought that was extremely interesting, the Cobra Island version of it, and I know, like I said, again, the good thing about it, Target still has them. You can still get
yeah,
them for really cheap now. So if you're a customizer out there looking for a good sculpted body, that's one that you could actually do, but and I own that, and I own the actual, the original classified line version, but this one was the one I wanted. Just the classic, brown pants, the
yeah,
shirt, not quite as camouflaged as the one from the actual mini series. But this is now when I think of like Roblox, this is my version of Roblox, not with the helmet on, but just just him, the heavy artillery gun, and just that look. This is my favorite. But again, you know, is this a counterpart? Are we gonna get to see a retro cardback version of Roblox that they're gonna drop? Gotta wait and see, man. We gotta wait and see,
yeah.
but, you know, they've already got the thing out there, so and they've reused this version of the heavy artillery one in the, Tiger Force 2 set with Tripwire. So, I gotta think a retro cardback's coming on the way, man. Matter of fact, before we go, one thing that you
Wasn't
and I
there already a retro card back? I thought there
um
was.
I haven't seen a retro cardback version of Roblox yet. Not of Roblox.
I thought
Yeah.
there was. Maybe that was just a repaint.
Mm. Yeah, well, again, there's a Tiger Force repaint that they did, and he came with Tripwire. But I haven't seen a retro card black of Roblox yet. Now I could be mistaken. Again, this is one of those points where this might be the thing where it pop up and be like, wait a minute, there was one. So we'll end up seeing it later. But talking about the redesigns, what's your thoughts on the Tripwire? Did you like Tripwire's updated thing, or did you want to see him more traditional?
No, I actually loved the updated Tripwire because he was wearing, modern
Hmm.
bomb gear, and that's what I liked about him. What we got, I mean, the original Tripwire had no safety gear on. I
Yeah, no,
mean,
no. Well,
he was wearing what you like if you watch any movie now, any any military movie when you got the bomb squad going in there, they wear that big full armor that
Yeah.
you know that comes up, and I really like that they had it. And Tripwire is another one that's I'm a big fan of that character.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought they did an excellent job with him.
Okay, well, we'll put that on record that updated was some updates are good. Some updates are good. Now, here's something that I saw and I thought I kind of like the way that this happened. And I've heard there's been split people on like I don't like this, and they're kind of always deviating from the line and everything. And I think I don't know if the 60 edition characters they brought from like different eras of the military if that worked for them or if it did, somehow they decided to jump into this. I like this because it seems like when I was a kid, there was always like, a police officer, firefighter, a pilot, or some kind of like you could play in a different scenario.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on the legacy figures that do? Because I'm assuming they're going to roll out more than just this.
yeah, no, I absolutely love these. I all the legacies, the 60th anniversary, like they did the Halo jumper,
Yeah. Hmm.
they did a what was they did a sniper. Now
Yep.
they've done firefighter. I think they all look amazing. This firefighter is amazing. As much as I love blowtorch
Yeah.
and barbecue,
Yeah.
like you know their gear is. I mean, granted, blowtorch is a not a firefighter but a flamethrower.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did do a lot of firefighting stuff in the cartoons.
Hmm.
Like their gear was like this is a real firefighter. I think this looks amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
No,
think, I mean, when we got the big Joes as a kid, that's
yeah.
you got the practical guys.
Yeah. Mhm, mhm. Well, the thing I like is he comes with a different set of axes. Love that he
Yep.
comes with the, I believe it's the jaws of life right
Yep.
there, the oxygen tank and everything. And again, this is one of those figures that you can customize your figure. You can have them as whatever character you decide that you want 'em to look like that fits your mold. I
Yeah.
kinda I like that they're offering the different heads because again, if you bought 2 firefighters and you
Yeah.
could just have 2 individual ones, or there's a lot, or you've got like an extra head that you could actually, if you're a customizer or you repaint,
Yeah. You can
and you
throw a
could
head
come
up
out with
on there.
your entire Joe fire squad if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And I also like that now right now because we don't have it in hand. It doesn't look like it has the GI Joe markings on it. So if you did want to customize it as a firefighting team, I think
Yeah.
you got the opportunity to do that, man. But I like this only because of the fact is I know that I'm gonna, again, I love our customizer community, and I know this is gonna be that and some dioramas of a burning building or something. The guys coming in like
Oh yeah.
like the one that we got right here. But imagine having like 4 or 5. Somebody comes up with like figures out the right scale fire truck to do. That's gonna look real cool in photography
Oh yeah.
or in
It-
customization itself.
you're gonna see that thing repainted to their like city or whatever
Uh-huh.
firefighting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm curious about what the other officers will get if we're going to get a police officer, maybe a pilot, maybe I don't know how many other civil service people that they would come out with, but I think this is good. I think the one thing that they could have had the opportunity to do, and I think this goes to show is the Hasbro's way of thinking. This probably would have been smart to have, like, proceeds from this go to a firefighting community or, like, charity
Mhm.
or something. I think that probably would have been the overall kicker that would probably help some of these legacy characters, if
Yeah.
they're actually sending that to organizations, kinda like the way Firehouse Subs kinda does it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that would actually probably would have had more people interested in it and would have helped push it over. So, again, it's split in the community, but yeah, Rich and I think it's a good thing. So it can't
I
always
think it
do
looks
that.
awesome. Like so.
Yeah. But and I did order this too. So I'm looking forward to some of these ones that's popping up. But Richard, one thing that we definitely have to talk about coming in the future, and we're going to take the opportunity right now to let some future things know. And now if you're watching this after March 18th, well, again, then you missed this event. But right now we're shooting this before the 18th. So you've got a chance. 18th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. They've got the so far scheduled to GI Joe fan stream. Now we'll see. They did cancel it once,
Yeah.
or delayed. Use the term delayed. We'll see if that actually gets delayed again. But I'm hoping to see like at least the snake armor, it's, mustard and
And maybe we'll
ketchup.
get the announcement of the mass device.
If they might, but let's not get our hopes up for it because they got a bunch of stuff to drop it. But it would be nice, or we'll see some photos of maybe a makeshift one in the background of another, like
Or
character they're releasing.
I'm looking forward to some nice close-ups of a lot of these pre-orders that we have out there.
Yes.
What we see in our pictures and their mock-ups and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I'd like to see some box art, some stuff like that
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely, because the box arts always have those little hidden details in it.
Right.
So, I would definitely like to see that. But if you want to see myself, Richard, and anyone else from the mighty SKN, the Shadow Nose Network, we will be attending on May the 4th, right? That's not just Star Wars Day, but it's going to be G.I. Joe Day this year. May the 4th in the city of Temecula, California, here in Southern California. It's the SoCal Joe Show, and this is the tease on it. We're going to be live streaming from there, from the from SKN, and we'll have a table there, and then Richard at KS Collectibles is going to have a table there, and we're going to use this show because it's going to be a tease on the weeks before that. Right now we're in March, so when it starts getting closer to that, towards April, Richard's going to be doing on the Tribunal. It's gonna have some little bangers and everything that he's gonna be taking exclusively to this event,
Yeah,
that you can
some
see
of the
'cause he
grails that I'm taking.
yeah, if you don't know, Richard is, our version of a retailer over here. So there's the toy collector, and then there's the toy retailer on the show. But any kind of hints right now, man, or you want to just save them?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say there's gonna be some pretty hard to find complete
Mhm.
vehicles that I don't like to ship. So, and I do offer them at very reasonable prices.
Yes.
Um, I'm gonna say, there may be a killer whale.
Okay. Okay. Well,
That
you know.
there may be one. Maybe
Okay.
I'll have it behind me next week.
Next to that, maybe you should. So look, let's be honest. Richard already has my money for the next several years. There's Hasbro and then there's Richard. So, but
Also, you didn't say anything. You didn't say anything about my lovely
I
shirt.
know, I know. I saw that too, and I was absolutely jealous of it. It's like, man, oh man. I know every week he's coming in with the deep lore on the t-shirts. Take a look at that too and everything. And actually, you know what? Here's the funny thing. We're talking about t-shirts, Richard. And you know what? The guys can go over to right now if you go to pixelplasticandink.com, and at one point they'll shift over to the we have Pixel Plastic Ink working on the shirts. But at one point they'll shift over to the shadownosenetwork.com. If you go over there right now and you see our symbol that says the Tribunal, you can actually pick that up in a t-shirt and a hoodie in
Mhm.
several different colors, and the guys over there are hardworking. But if you go over to pixelplasticinc.com, you can order yourself a Tribunal t-shirt or hoodie, and they've
Yeah.
got some in that olive color that is
I
absolutely
am
fantastic.
eyeballing that green one. I'll tell you that much.
I am too. And actually, I ordered a LA Dodgers hat to go with that in that same color. So like so when you go to the SoCal Joe show, you're gonna see us in like the breakout Tribunal gear and everything. So you want to see that. But if you want to take a look at it now, head over there now. Also, we've got some social media network things that we got to break out. Head over to the Shadow Nose Network Instagram page and check out like any of the update we announce shows and what we're doing, all our schedules, and any events that we're headed to. That's all over there. So go over there and join that, or you can join our Discord right now, the Shadow Nose Network Discord, and just join the community. And Richard, you can go over to KS Collectibles on Instagram, and he's going to be dropping some things. It's one thing about it, I know we were kind of busy this week, but he's going to put up some vehicles like from the Mass Device miniseries. He's going to snap
Yeah,
some photos. He's going to share that with the Shadow News Network and him, and we're just going to spread that through the week after the
yeah.
show.
I'm gonna throw up some of the original Joe figures that I have, including I believe I have all of the original 13 straight arms. So I'll probably throw up
Okay.
some pictures of those. There's gonna be a lot of GI Joe goodness coming up on there, which coincidentally enough is all for sale.
Yes. Yeah. So if you want yourself,
Except for my Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander, he's not for sale.
yeah,
But I'll
yeah.
show him off.
But you can go to Frankensons and see one that's graded. We saw that. It's like, yeah, that's going to be standing behind that glass for a very long
Yeah,
time.
that thing's got to be ridiculous. I mean, because by
Oh,
itself it's over $200.
it was
Loose.
crazy, man. It's nowhere near $200.
Oh, I
Think
bet.
about
Yeah.
it. Think about it. Way, way, way more price than that.
Oh yeah,
Everything.
I guarantee it. Yeah, graded. Was it on card? Oh wait, no, it didn't
Yeah,
come on card.
no, it was not a
It was
card.
a
No.
mail away. It
Hmm.
came in
Yep.
not a mail away. It came in a little baggie
Yeah, yeah, no, it
because
wasn't.
it
But
came with the missile center.
yeah, but if you go to Frankensons, you can see it. It's up front, believe me, behind glass and
I mean, you
everything
can pay
else.
for it if you want, I guess, but
If you're rolling like that, you know. Also, let's roll on. Toy Atlanta, myself, and the chat from Toy Box Chronicles, which we have two different versions of live streams that happen every week. Toy Box Chronicles, where you can catch myself, Mr. Chet Maddox, and also Richard from Chaos Collectibles every now and then popping in. That takes place on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. And then on Friday, you've got Pixel Plastic and Ink. Yes, Pixel Plastic and Ink. If you're into films, if you're into toys, if you're into comics, that's a catch-all show here on the Shadow Knows Network. And that happens the same time as well, 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But myself and Chet will be down in Toy Atlanta in Duluth, Georgia on March 28th, 29th, and the 30th. We will be live streaming. That's going to be the first event that we will be live streaming from the table. We've got some pretty big guests that we've lined up. That's going to be cool. And we'll start giving a little bit more of that information as we start getting close to the show. Rich is going to be in the studio here in Southern California, and Dr. Brentley will also be running that, and we'll be in the field there. And we're gonna, if you're gonna be in Toy Atlanta, stop by the Odd Frog / Bandito radio booth. Say hi to us. We may get you on the camera because we're going to be pulling fans in, and we're going to ask them what are they purchasing at the event, what they were looking forward to. We're not just going to get people from the industry. We're just going to, do kind of like the man on the street. Just ask people, what are you out there spending your money on? And that's going to be on Bandino Radio. And Richard, have you been listening to Bandino Radio, sir?
oh yeah, all the time. I absolutely love it. Your guys, first of all, your guys' show is top notch. It is entertaining, and you and Chet have nailed it every time.
Thanks, sir.
I wait with bated breath for the new episodes to come out, but that alone, like even if you guys didn't have
Yeah,
that show on there, these artists that they feature on these programs are
yeah,
amazing, and
yeah.
it amazes me that they're all unsigned. Like these are some truly talented people.
Well, they're unsigned for right now. That might
Yeah,
not
I
actually
don't see
take
that
place.
lasting.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? Look, if what is Bandito Radio? Well, let me break that down to you. Bandito Radio is a radio station that is absolutely for the toy community. That's right, for toy just collectors, toy customizers, and toy photographers. It is music is curated through that with some podcasts, some late night show radio dramas that's on there, and of course, Howling Jim Jackson. Every now and then he'll start doing a live call-in show on Bandito Radio, which is always cool because Howling Jim is absolutely one of those old school like souls on the
Yeah,
network. But we've got shows like Action Figure Frequencies. Myself and Chet Maddox, we do that exclusively over on for audio over on Bandito Radio. But now, if you're a channel membership here at the Shadow Knows Network, you can actually see myself and Chet all the behind the scenes and us just basically putting together a radio show on that network. If you're subscribed to be the channel members, you get to kind of have a little sneak peek. But that's not the only thing. If you are a channel member, you get to see the Tribunal, because normally it drops on Saturdays, but you get to see it on Fridays. So you get a sneak peek. So if you're a channel, there's a benefit to being a channel membership. There's exclusive content, and you can see the actual tribunal one day before everyone else can see it. So
And the
you know,
benefits are just starting. It's going to
yeah.
get a lot more, a lot better as time goes on.
Absolutely. We may even at one point possibly do a customized SKN figure for that. That might raffle off of it. We'll think about some things to make that channel membership worth it. But with that channel membership, you do get exclusive membership into the Discord as well, and get some certain features that not everyone can get in the standard Discord. So there's a good reason to be a channel member, and that's something that we've been pushing lately because we've been hard at work for it. Not just myself, but Chet Maddox, Dr. Brentley, Rad, Richard, like Meeks. We've all been kind of working at it. So we're looking forward to the things to come. So with that, sir, like I said, wow, I can't believe we've already hit another hour, man.
Yeah, this episode flies by. And when you're talking GI Joes, man, it goes by fast.
It does, and that's actually the best thing about it being fun because we're fans here, and also from the retailer and customizer supreme. Like I said, Richard over at KS Collectibles. Make sure you go over there and check out kscollectibles.com for any of your Joe needs. And we're going to curate a couple of whatnot lists. Now I know you're getting ready to start a whatnot, but there are
Yeah.
some Joe based whatnot guys, and we're vetting lists right now. So we're going to put up a safe list pretty soon of like people that we vetted that you can buy from, because I know whenever I'm in one of those Facebook groups, there's always a problem with someone that's purchasing from there and saying, "Hey, that guy didn't, he took my money or something else happened." So we're going to curate some safe places on Whatnot where you can actually pick up some Joes, or people like Richard, where the .coms go to, or
Yeah.
any toy stores that you can go to, and these actual retailers are going to actually help you, and they're not looking to rip you off. They're looking to put you in line with the figures and the items that you want.
Yeah, and it's really cool. There's a lot of people that I've started looking, guys watch other people's shows
Yeah.
on Whatnot, and there's a lot of reputable sellers on there.
Yeah.
People that I've dealt with, just
Mhm.
that I've dealt with outside of
Yeah.
Whatnot, but I know are great sellers. And there's some good, and honestly, Whatnot is it's pretty fun. It's very
It is.
non-toxic.
It
It's
is.
just so far I've enjoyed my experiences there. I can't wait till we start kicking off. I start kicking off my shows, and
Yeah.
you never know what kind of stuff I'll be selling on Whatnot. There may be some custom action figure stuff that you may never have seen before. That right
Yeah,
there
I know.
is a Tupac action figure.
Mm.
That is
There.
that is a one of a kind.
Well, we're looking forward to see that. And if you're asking for what are we good coming up from more episodes of Tribunal, hey, we're gonna start taking in all kind of Joe lore and just have a good time over here. We've got some things planned. One of the things, we're working on some roundtables with some existing YouTubers that we're gonna have in, and some guys that you'd be surprised that are popping in. So we got a little thing. There's a roundtable where you talk about Joe, and again, you don't know Joe with Dr. Brentley. We're gonna be sliding those episodes in the next couple of weeks too. A guy
Yeah,
that
I can't wait to see his reaction.
exactly, a guy that's not into Joe's, that's watching it for the first time. We'll see if he loved it or hated it and everything else like that. And again, no hate from that. If he doesn't like
I
the
don't
shows, that's okay.
You know what? I don't. I'm one of those people. I don't get upset if someone doesn't like something that I love. I get
Yeah.
it all the time. Once again, I'm notoriously known for loving the worst types of movies in the
Yes,
world,
you
the
are.
worst, easiest stuff. So a lot of people don't like the type of stuff that I like. But I think for looking at it with fresh eye, I would just it dumbfounds me because I watch it all the time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would be like at this age to watch it with fresh eyes. Like I'm just curious
Yeah.
how because we have that whole nostalgia effect
Exactly.
and everything. So with fresh eyes, like would it seem a little cheesy or I don't know.
Well,
I'm
Dr.
curious.
Brentley's gonna let us know.
Yeah, I'm
So
curious. I'm very curious for that. So
well, like I said, again, if you haven't done that, please subscribe to the channel, like, and give your comments down, good or bad, and everything else like that. We want to hear it all and everything. We can improve the show. Let us know. And from that, sir, this court is adjourned, and we will see you next week and everything. And you know what? Dr. Brentley's came up with a massive outro for you, and we're going to